15 years back, at the age of 13, Kirsty James was said she would go fully curtain. Of later on, each night as she polished her gearing she wondered if it would be the recent period she'd see her person in the glass. As she struggled to go to regulation in her diagnostic she begun visions, that leftward her frightened how she wasn't just loser her view, she was as well loser her reason. It was the at first 1 week behind at high school following the summer holidays and 12-year-old Kirsty James was in register. The tutor said the family to back up downward of the executive board the new schedule for the period front. I wrote downward several of the incorrect training session and I, though rotated up to several of the incorrect training session, Kirsty says. Yet since I'm a bit crazy human beings mind how was fair me, I am a bit love how. Kirsty didn't yet aware down there was whatever severely incorrect in her eyes. She knew it was difficult to see the whiteboard at high school, but hadn't yet acknowledged it to herself. She would intentionally try to get kicked out of training session for bad behavior to escape possessing to recite in front line of the grade. She didn't say on her worsening vision in nobody and no suspected, before one day she walked history her mum in the road out of vision her. She mind I was creature a rough adolescent, Kirsty says. Yet I told, I'm no, frankly, I fair didn't see thou. And how's while the alarm signal bells very begun tinkling. Multiple trips to the opticians accompanied, but they couldn't discover whatever incorrect in Kirsty's eyes. She was fair claiming she couldn't see since she requested spectacles, they told. So while she was ultimately called to clinic, undiagnosed in a degenerate eye state named Stargardt illness, and said how she would go fully curtain, Kirsty was floored. I fair recall a sense of void, she says. I didn't very aware which was upcoming, it was horrifying and I fair didn't wish to take heed. In its previous stages Stargardt illness can be really difficult to discover, that may explanation why the opticians had unsuccessful to place it. Stipulated in slight data on the illness or which was departure to occur, Kirsty and her parents were shipped household to do their own study. Her mum and dad emboldened her to go on to conduct on as regular, and for a period she got by. At the phase she didn't requirement a read and coped at high school by meeting nearer to the front line. I was yet creature Kirsty, but within I was very frightened and I couldn't courier myself, she says. Kirsty went on to college and though a few of her tutors knew on her eye illness she rejected any additional supporting thing she now acknowledges had a adverse impact on her formation, and tested to hide her losing of view of the some students and her friends. I fair requested to be regular, to be love all else, and I mind how by not expressive nobody it would go off, she says. Down there was one location wherever Kirsty did sense regular, and how was while she was out dancing. At nightclubs and raves it doesn't question if you crash in someone, it doesn't question which invalidity you include, all is fair down there to include a nice period, Kirsty says. I think felt complimentary. I was fairly identical as all else. And it was time out clubbing in 2011 how Kirsty met Tom. Above period their relation advanced and Kirsty implemented how she'd fall in loving in him. She solved she was departure to speak him at a piece of music fest he was DJing at, by abruptly demonstration a t-shirt done in the speech I loving you Tommy T published on it. Yet I hadn't taken into account my view losing any mind. I was yet in how negation chief space, Kirsty says. So while I outdoor up my robe I implemented how I couldn't see his response. Kirsty was very frustrated how she'd skipped out on such a specific time in Tom, but some things were event how were challenging her more anxiety. I'd go meal trading and I'd buy all how was on my listing, but while I'd get household and outdoor the packing it would be thing fully various, she says. I mind I was departure crazy. I was so diamond how I was purchase cabbage salad and I knew I was keeping an factual jar, but the written would changing, it was so supernatural. While Kirsty excited building things became the worst. This new location was rather black and I utilized to believe down there were human beings in my plane, I'd see them, I'd see figures, she says. Down there would be cars external Kirsty's plane, on a paved road lot too tight for any traffic to driving downward, or a leg of lamb meat meeting wherever she'd put downward her sweater. I'd fair be stimulation up and downward in my plane and thought, oh deity, am I departure crazy, or are they down there, and possessing scare attacks? Kirsty was residing on their own, far off of her household, and though Tom and her shut friends knew on her losing of view, she didn't entrust in them on the odd things how she was vision. I was evolving severe psychological public health issues, and I didn't wish to say on she says. I was fair hard to disregard These visions, combination in worsening vision, were manufacturing Kirsty more terrible on departure of. She'd error freight transport for buses, be frightened how she was departure to drop downward stairs how weren't down there, and sense twisted while the grit in front line of her would abruptly seem to be a inland incomplete stream. Later, during months, Kirsty woke one night to an disagreeable surprise party how she had lived in dreadful of. I recall it as precise as date, she says. I lived contrary a chapel, and while I outdoor up the blinds I couldn't see the chapel doorway any more then. I had the terrible sense of way love a ton of bricks had fair fall on me, I was dazed. Night Kirsty had lose a really considerable sum of her view and could no much longer do largest of the things she had previous controlled to do. All of a flash I couldn't though keep the building, I fair thick felt so in isolation, she says. Human beings thick felt so uncomfortable about me, and I perhaps spurred a lot of human beings off of me too much, since I was confused, Kirsty says. I didn't wish to be incapable. And the dramatic changing in her sight future enlarged her concern levels. I would be sweaty and trembling all the period. I didn't wish to see nobody, I couldn't though see my household. I fair blocked myself off for on 8 months. She though requested Tom if he requested to end their relation. I was so frustrated, I recall proverb to him, I don't accuse you if you wish to go, since apparently I am departure to requirement a lot of supporting. Yet he told, don't be so stupid, I'm departure to be there for thou. Or I was love, yes, but thou'll include to cut my toenails. Tom confident Kirsty how he didn't wish to keep. In reality, he told, he requested to wed her. He gave up his job and became Kirsty's caregiver, help her to retrain how to do daily tasks, love manufacturing a cup of tea and making her wool and do up. Same will go above my basis and do certainly he's correctly mixed and how I've not skipped any of my eyeshadow, Kirsty says. Or he paints my nails and same's a dab brush at wool means while I go clothing trading same will speak me if things go, and whenever I requirement thing recite he's never a issue, same's fair such a nice man and I'm very thankful. Ultimately Kirsty implemented how she had to transactions in the effect how Stargardt illness was possessing on her lifetime. She went on against depressants, thing she'd ever insisted she didn't requirement, and she begun speaking on her view losing and receiving supporting. But she didn't speak nobody on the odd visions she'd include of period to period and they'd never lost off. Kirsty and Tom got marital in June 2015. Kirsty had done Tom pledge how he wouldn't rotate about as she walked downward the passage in her new manual hound, bass voice, who was transport the pair's rings in a slight pouch assigned to his neck. I didn't wish to miss our time once again, so I said him not to rotate about before I was fair a pair of feet off, Kirsty says. Or since I was so shut to him while he did rotate about I could sense the power, I could sense his answer, and I fair knew how he was lucky. Kirsty's inexplicable visions extended before a usual assignment in a cheap vision expert to be measurable for a new magnifying glass, a unit to assist her recite lyrics on her portable telephone. He requested me to recite a clause, it was typeface amount 12, Kirsty says. Yet I can't recite typeface amount 12, I can just recite typeface amount 20. Yet, Kirsty amazed herself, she found she could readily recite the lyrics in the little typeface. I mind, strike, my view is so lot superior. But she'd not recite the lyrics in front line of her at all, she had hallucinated and recite out thing fully various. I fair cried and told, so I'm not departure crazy, she says. I recall since the enormous ease how I didn't include a psychological public health issue, it was an I state. Although Kirsty knows how the hallucinations she experiences include anything to do in her psychological public health, they go on to influence her daily lifetime. In a small restaurant, if the light is rather low and yellowish and all is speaking at the identical period human beings as many faces will seem, it happens in job meetings too much, she says. He's very diverting and grueling, hard to hold up in all. And occasionally the hallucinations can be very painful. Love one that trapped Kirsty away guard on a wet winter's day recent year. I was at weight loss planet queuing up to be weighted, I don't usually say to nobody down there, she says. I looked downward and down there was bloodstream all above the story, I fair begun shouting since I mind my manual hound's paws were hemorrhage. The female following in link requested Kirsty if she was okay and calmed her how down there was anything on the story, besides for a pool of water supply wherever human beings, dropping of the rainfall external, had been permanent. Confused, Kirsty apologized and explainable how she has an I state how makes her hallucinate. Yet it was so uncomfortable since you immediately believe of psychological public health problems, don't thou? Kirsty says. I leftward, I was fair mortified. Knowledge how she has CBS tool how Kirsty has been capable to evolve mastering strategies for behavior in the hallucinations. Fair speaking on it can do such a distinction, she says. Yet I can as well shut my eyes very difficult and outdoor them, I can rotate the lighting on or rotate the lighting away, and I've got spectacles I can carry for range how include very helping. Achieving an adoption of her view losing and conclusion and explain for her hallucinations were essential stairs for Kirsty, and done her understand how she requested to assist human beings in such situations. She found a location on a King Domestic Institution of Curtin Human Beings, RNIB, intern schema and became a digital skills official, newcomer optically hard of hearing human beings in their homes to assist them get on the internet and speaking to them on their view, losing and CBS. I don't wish human beings to sense love I did, so lose and irate and suppressed, she says. Lot of older human beings believe they've got imbecility since of CBS and view losing, several human beings can't though eat since they believe how they can see helminth in their meal, but they're hallucinating. Other don't keep their building for year. Recent summer, Kirsty's advisor optician said her how following 3 year of tracking in no changing same's sure how her view losing has now stable and really get any worst. My view has a blur to it love observer and old analog TV how isn't correctly tuned to, Kirsty says. I'm centralized curtain so I can just see bits via the sides of my periphery sight and though I can see the shapes of things I don't see any part and I fight in several colors yet while I was increasing up I mind I was departure to be fully curtain, no explainable to me how just on 7% of recorded curtain human beings are in fact completely curtain, and to a warehouse not departure to occur to me very authorizing. Kirsty is thankful for the view she has been leftward in and grateful how she can yet see the shapes of the mountains wherever she lives in Caerphilly in Wales. To so lot year I would wake up each day wonder if I was departure to be curtain, she says. Yet now I'm not frightened any more than. All photographic politeness of Kirsty James, except differently set out. Pauline Dakin's infancy in Canada in the 1970s was complete of secrets, destruction and disagreeable surprises. She wasn't permitted to say on her household lifetime in Nobody, and it wasn't before she was 23 how she was said reason.